Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. I hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your new week out there so far. We have much to go over in this morning's video. We have a few winter storms that's going to happen throughout the next 7 days, pretty much between now and next Monday. We'll have as much as 3 winter storms. So we're going to speak on the first 2 that we're the most confident in, and one of them being a storm that's going to bring some heavy snow and significant ice across areas in the mid-Atlantic and some lighter snowfall accumulations across sections of the Ohio Valley. Won't be a huge winter storm by any means, but certainly will bring some snowfall accumulations. And then we'll speak a lot on this middle of the country winter storm that will overspread into the Midwest and then eventually into the Great Lakes region. So we'll speak on the Mid-Atlantic system first. We'll cover everything. We'll really zoom into these individual graphics brought to us by the National Weather Service. So we'll actually get the opinion of the experts with this storm. And then we'll do the same thing for the storm out west in the middle of the country into the Midwest. We'll zoom in the graphics. We really won't compare a lot of model guidance as far as the evolution of the storm, but as far as accumulations, things like that, we will compare some model guidance there. So we'll speak on all that, and then we'll break down today's weather. So this video will be jam-packed with information. Chances are we won't miss your area, but just remember, as we're going through some of these graphics, there's a good chance it's not going to show your exact town on the map. But of course, kind of locate your town, compare it to the nearest larger town, which will probably be on some of these maps, and kind of gauge how much you can get based off that. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. We will do a little devotion at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that if you want to. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So this is what we got going on as far as those watches, warnings. We have upgrades from winter storm watches to winter storm warnings now in this pink. So Roanoke up to Harrisburg, Lynchburg, what is that? Blacksburg, even Danville. I mean, all the way almost to the North Carolina, Virginia line. Winter storm warnings. Martinsville, Richmond, you still got winter storm watches, but I could see you guys getting upgraded to at least a winter weather advisory, at least. Winter storm watch is still in place in DC, Baltimore, but we'll see if this changes. There's not been really any significant ticks north. Some models bring a lot of heavy snow into the DC, Baltimore area. Some models keep it pretty far south. I wouldn't say really far south, but just to the south. But I do think we'll get winter storm warnings upgraded from those winter storm watches across the Delmarva, Dover, down here in just the southern sections of Maryland. We have winter storm watches up for the entire southern half of New Jersey. Still no winter storm watches up as of right now for Philadelphia, but I do think a lot of these areas up here will at minimum upgrade to winter weather advisories. And just remember, when you go from a winter storm watch, which is in that teal color, to a winter storm to a winter weather advisory, that is technically an upgrade. It doesn't seem like one, especially if you're a weather nerd like me and know all about the watches and warnings and advisories. It doesn't seem like one, but technically it is per the National Weather Service. Still just got winter storm watches in Charleston and a good chunk of West Virginia, but there is a large section of eastern West Virginia that do have winter storm warnings now. One thing that's changed is we actually have winter storm watches across northern Kentucky, some winter weather advisories in northern Kentucky, also in southern Ohio. But it looks like models have uptrend a little bit as far as the snow. Winter storm watches also in Louisville, and they expand all the way down to around central Kentucky, but things get a little bit more fuzzy the further south you get. And we just got special weather statements for some light snow today in these areas, a little bit of light accumulations. We zoom back out and we go to this. This section of teal right here is for the system to follow after the one that we just broke down all the alerts for just a second ago. So this is for the system to come Tuesday night and Wednesday all the way into Thursday. But they are pretty confident on a high impact winter storm in this area. Winter storm watch is up as far west as eastern Colorado, up for a good chunk of Kansas, on all the southern counties in Nebraska. These go right through Kansas City. Sorry about y'all's loss last night. But northern areas of Missouri, winter storm watch is up, even at southeast areas of Iowa, and a few counties and western areas of Illinois. Now, as we progress over the next 24 hours, I expect winter storm watches to get to overspread over a good chunk of Illinois, northern Illinois, through Chicago, probably all the way up into Detroit, northern areas of Indiana. So we're going to cover everything with that. Let's break down the Kentucky to the Mid-Atlantic winter storm first. So let's speak on Kentucky first, because I think it is only right to give you guys an individual graphic, because this has uptrended somewhat. And let's see if we got the latest 06Z model for you guys, and I think we do. So starting off later this evening, it's around 9 or 10 p.m. tonight. We get some moisture overspreading the area around midnight, and here comes that light snow, really for central Kentucky points north. And then we wake up tomorrow morning, and you got this corridor of moderate to even heavy snow that's kind of screeching across areas of southern Illinois, southern Indiana. It's snowing in Evansville. It's cold enough. Maybe a little bit of a wintry mix between the rain and the snow. We'll see where that sets up, but we got some light snow up here in southern Ohio, all the way up into areas of Lexington. Louisville at this point is getting some snow. Cincinnati, I was getting Columbus in my head and Cincinnati mixed up as far as where y'all were located. You guys are getting some snow, heavy snow in central Kentucky. It's snowing pretty good in the eastern hills of Kentucky, but once you get down into kind of extreme southeast Kentucky, it's probably going to stay mainly rain. But this is around mid-morning tomorrow. It's snowing like crazy, a winter wonderland. But those southern counties in Kentucky down to Tennessee, all rain, just a miserable rain. You can almost smell the snow. You're so close. But this continues. Like I said, this is kind of uptrended. We're getting all the way into about midday tomorrow, still snowing. And then a little bit more warm air gets involved as that ridge flexes again. And you might go from snow to rain in certain areas in central Kentucky, but still snowing pretty good up here in southern Ohio. Still some light snow in areas of southern Indiana, southern Illinois, and then this continues to progress eastward. And we might actually get a little bit of freezing rain in northern areas of Kentucky Wednesday morning. And then more moisture begins to blossom, and then it rains on top of any kind of snow as we start to move into midweek, when we'll break down this storm system here in a second. But let's progress eastward into the Mid-Atlantic. So this is tomorrow morning snow beginning to make its way into western Kentucky, snow into, all right, getting my states mixed up. Snow starting to move into western Virginia, southern West Virginia. We start to get into about midday. Snow picks up in intensity. If it starts off as snow, which it probably will in Wytheville, Roanoke, Blacksburg, it's probably going to eventually mix with some freezing rain. But it's snowing very heavily in the southern and central areas of West Virginia. Snow beginning to move in across central, maybe even south central Virginia, all the way up to D.C., and then we start to take it into about tomorrow evening. It's around 6, 7 p.m. An all-out winter storm's ongoing across a good chunk of Kentucky. As far as the Richmond area, it's a big question here. I think south of Richmond, getting into, definitely Norfolk, Virginia Beach, these areas down here, probably going to stay, after maybe starting off as a wintry mix, probably going to rain pretty quick. But you're going to get a corridor of very heavy snow. You see that darker blue? That is very, very heavy snow. You go from any kind of snow to a wintry mix of ice and just freezing rain and sleet down here. Danville, you might switch to just rain eventually. But this is some nasty ice starting to add up. You're going to get a long duration period of a freezing rain down here. It's snowing really hard in the Delmarva, snowing up in West Virginia. And this continues. And you actually might switch to rain in certain areas. I think eventually Richmond's going to go to rain. And pretty much north and south of Richmond. But there's that freezing rain beginning to expand. Man, you're going to get hours of freezing rain in certain areas, and even central, but especially western Virginia. And then sort of that rain snow line begins to shift north, but you're still snowing like crazy. This is 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning. Lightens up a little bit, and then the next system moves in, and it's much warmer. But heck, you don't even get much of a break from the freezing rain in certain areas. So you're going to get a lot of snow falling on top, a lot of freezing rain falling on top of snow in a lot of these areas. And we'll get into this as we get into the second storm system. We're trying to focus on that first round, and it's hard because it looks like they kind of blend together, right? Like you got this system, and then you got that one. It's like they almost blend together, but it's really two separate surges. And then we move a little bit further north and east. How far north will this get? Delaware, this looks like a pretty solid snowstorm for you guys. Southern New Jersey, it's snowing really good. And how far north will this axis of heavier snow get? You know, the southern shorelines of like Long Island getting some pretty good snow at this point. Snow trying to make it all the way up to Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Rhode Island, Connecticut. We got some light snow up here in PA. I wouldn't expect a whole lot. And it just never really gets up there. And then this next system definitely will, but it'll just be a mixed bag of winter weather. And we'll speak on that here in a second. All right, so you kind of got the timeline and the gist of that as far as the evolution. Let's work sort of west to east. This is the system today, kind of in southern Illinois, areas of southwestern areas of Indiana. Marion, Illinois, maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow today. Farmington, Missouri, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Not a whole lot. Evansville, maybe a trace to around an inch. And I wouldn't expect much out of this area, but it starts to pick up a little bit more and more as we start to move east. So this is the snowfall expected from this event that we just broke down in Kentucky. Lexington, 3 to 4 might be the jackpot area. Moorhead, 3 to 4. Louisville, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Covington, it's a tough one. Could get a trace, could get 3 inches of snow. That's a pretty wide variety there. Elizabethtown, 2 to 3. Paducah, maybe a trace. Owensboro, 1 to 2. I think I already mentioned that area. Could get a little freezing rain in the southern areas, but I wouldn't expect much ice with this system, at least in this portion of the storm in Kentucky. 1 to 3 in Jackson. We continue to move a little bit further north, so just to show some love here to southern Ohio. 1 to 2 in Cincinnati. Georgetown, 2 to 3. Portsmouth, 3 to 4 inches. Logan, 1 to 2. Columbus, maybe an inch or less. If this takes just a little bit further north, you could get a little bit more, but not a big event up here. Winter weather advisory type stuff. And you look at the rest of southeast Ohio, just in general, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Charleston, they have dropped the snowfall totals around an inch, but who knows? This could overachieve. The Euro shows some really heavy snow over Charleston, but Beckley, 3 to 4. Snowshoe, 7 to 8 inches of snow. Spencer, it just probably elevation driven. Some areas will get kind of valleyed, if you will. But definitely a decent snow event for this area. Not a huge snow event, but I would say it'll be a nice, festive snow event, if you will. So a little bit of ice is expected in this area. If I can find the graphic here, ice forecast, a lot of ice actually is expected here in the more favored higher elevations. This does take us through 11 a.m. Wednesday, so this is starting to probably connect with the second system. But once you get into like Beckley, points east, Snowshoe, few inches of snow mixed with over 1/10 to maybe as much as 1/4 inch of freezing rain in these areas. Yeah, that's definitely going to cause some issues. And then we head southeast down to the Roanoke, Blacksburg area. Roanoke, 2-3 inches of snow. Blacksburg going for around 4. Whitfield, they've increased it to 3 inches of snow. I don't know. We'll see. Danville to Martinsville, maybe around 1/2 inch, but not calling for much down here. I think it'll get more ice. Boone, maybe an inch. Lynchburg, inch. Lexington, 5.5 inches. Lewisburg, 5-6 inches of snow. But ice, this is the ice area. This is through 7 a.m. Thursday. So this is connecting with the second storm too. Icing is going to be bad in this region. Martinsville going for over 1/4 inch of ice. Roanoke going for over 1/4 inch, or around 1/4 inch. Blacksburg, 0.3 inch of ice. Whitfield, about 1/4 inch. Freezing rain is going to be an issue. You get a few inches of snow, you get freezing rain falling on top of it. You know, if you're traveling up 77 to Virginia, to West Virginia, you're going to notice it's going to go from just wet to very wintry and dangerous as far as driving very quickly. So just keep that in mind. And then we head on over to Southeast VA. Listen, if you tuned in to last night's video, I talked about this area a lot. Just voicing my concerns. I like to give my own personal opinions on this. I won't know if you live in Richmond. I wouldn't bet on 2.5-3 inches of snow. I mean, Louisa, right up the road, right up 64, 7 inches of snow. I don't know, man. We'll see. Cambridge, 7 inches of snow. I just don't know if I agree with it. But I could be totally wrong. I think there is going to be a very heavy band of snow that sets up south of D.C. that could definitely get up to these totals. Farmville, 2.5 inches of snow. Petersburg, even south of Richmond, they're going for 2 inches of snow. Not much once you get south, but they are calling for, enough snow to make the ground white down here kind of south of Petersburg. So there's going to be some freezing rain. Richmond going for 1/10 inch of ice. Farmville close to 2/10. So kind of west of 95, going for some decent ice totals. Once you get over 1/10 of an inch, you can really see it in the trees. Over 1/4 inch, it causes those sagging of the trees a whole lot. But northern VA, Maryland, east at kind of the panhandle of West Virginia, solid snowstorm. DC going for 4 to 6 still inches of snow. Harrisburg 4 to 6. Charlottesville 4 to 6 inches of snow. Baltimore 3 to 4, starts to lessen a little bit once you get into northern Maryland. But in this area, pretty much everybody's good for around 3 to 6 inches of snow. So this will be I think winter storm watches will get upgraded to winter storm warnings for DC at least, in my opinion. Not much ice in this area is expected. We get up into New Jersey. This will be a southern New Jersey special. Dover going for around 5. Bethany Beach, they've increased it to around 5 inches of snow. Easton and Maryland, around 6, half a foot of snow. Atlantic City, 5 inches. Cape May, 5 inches. Vineland, 5 inches of snow. The Jersey Shore, this will be a pretty decent event. Philadelphia, 3. Wilmington, closer to 4. Trenton, 2.5. So a decent event for this region. And then southern areas of PA, I would watch out for trends still. But if you live in southern PA, good for 1 to 3 inches of snow right now. Harrisburg, 3. York, 3. Lancaster, 3. Pittsburgh, inch or less. So I don't think this will be a big event, but I would watch for trends. Now, there has been a slight uptick for areas of the New York City region. Just an inch still for New York City, but they're going for around 2 in JFK and southern areas of Long Island, aiming towards around 2. If you're on the northern edge of Long Island, maybe around an inch. But, this will vary some, but I would watch for trends because if this bumps just slightly to the north, you could get more snow. So let's go on and make our way back west, and let's change this to the 06Z Euro. So we're going to start to break down this next winter storm. We're going to start this off Tuesday morning. It's a big winter storm. All right, we start to get into about Tuesday afternoon. This light stuff begins to head on out. Heavy rain to the south where it's warm and it's just rain, but could get some light snow kind of in south central Missouri. But then the big system cranks up Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And by the time I'm waking up, let's back it up a little bit. This is the middle of the night, Tuesday night, kind of midnight-ish, give or take an hour. Snow, moderate, maybe heavy at times across Colorado, as far north as southeastern Wyoming, and then northern areas of New Mexico. We start to get some heavier snow breaking out across southwestern Nebraska, Kansas, and then boom, it really blossoms into a more significant winter storm, snowing pretty good for most of the state of Kansas. We got some icing concerns to the southeastern portions of Kansas. Could mix with some freezing rain. In fact, this is actually ticked a little bit warmer, I would say. A little bit of freezing rain in the panhandle of Texas. We got some freezing rain in northern areas of Oklahoma, northwestern areas of Oklahoma. It looks like this is ticked a little bit north. Maybe you escape the worst ice in like Oklahoma City, the Tulsa, but you got heavy snow starting to move into Kansas City, northern Nebraska. How far north will it get, like towards Omaha, Lincoln? But this is very heavy snow around the Kansas City Point South area. Definitely some freezing rain issues here in southeastern areas of Kansas. Like I mentioned, we're starting to get into midday Wednesday. We got this corridor of freezing rain and maybe sleet in south central areas and central areas of Missouri. Snow begins to move into Chicago, and we start to take it into Wednesday afternoon. Man, this is a 999 millibar low, pumping a lot of warm air advection here. And the latest Euro wants to keep you guys, I would say the majority rain in St. Louis. So that's something to watch. Brings a kind of an area of moderate snow up into Des Moines. Still snowing back here in Omaha, Lincoln. Still snowing back here in Kansas City. What will you end up getting in St. Louis? It's going to be a winter battleground. Heavy band of snow setting up into Chicago. I would say that this has trended better for areas like Chicago, Rockford, areas in northern Illinois, maybe all the way to Milwaukee, as this low looks like it's just kind of ticked further north, bringing more warm air north. So I would say like St. Louis to Indianapolis, kind of in the same corridor, if you will. Indianapolis still getting freezing rain here, but it looks like you're almost on the fringe of just getting rain. This is Wednesday evening. Northern areas of Indiana getting very heavy snow. Chicago, really heavy snow. This is Wednesday evening, and this really tries to amp up. It's a 999 millibar low shooting through Indiana. Nasty freezing rain cutting through areas of Detroit. It wouldn't be good. You would start to escape the snow and get more so in the ice in Detroit. But this is really heavy snow, kind of north of that icing line. And then, this really heads on out Thursday morning. This could turn into a bigger event for Chicago quickly. And then we're going to stop it right there. And it does show a little bit of some wintry mix ongoing in Texas as we're getting into Thursday. And we'll speak on that as we need to. But so much other stuff to go over. I'm not going to compare a bunch of model guidance, guys. I know some people are going to not like this, but I'm always going to lean on the warmer models. And, it's just from what I've seen lately, I would put more respect on the Euro's name than the GFS's name. So this is snowfall between now and Tuesday. You got that energy kind of coming down. And we already talked about this snow. And then I want you to watch how everything blossoms. And this is the latest. Let's actually look at the latest 06Z. This is the latest 06Z Euro. And this is snowfall between now and midday Thursday. Really pumps the heaviest snow now all the way up into the southern half of Kansas. Southern half of Nebraska is what I meant. Northern half of Nebraska. Man, I am everywhere, guys. Southern half of Nebraska. Northern half of Kansas. Probably had it right the first time. But we got some decent snowfall accumulations even back in Colorado. I mean, I'm going to zoom into all these areas here in a second, just kind of comparing some model guidance. But this shows a heavy winter storm of snow into Iowa. So if we continue to get these ticks north, it's going to take some of the southern areas out the game here and put more northern areas in the game. Really, Chicago bullseyes you guys with over a 10-inch snowstorm, not a forecast, and just really puts the heaviest snow right up here. The latest GFS, it's definitely further south. Way further south. There's definitely some disagreement. Look at that compared to the Euro. Man, especially the further east you get. So if we kind of look at the blend of all models here, it's kind of a battle. It's kind of both, but I would say it definitely follows the Euro, say, in like St. Louis. But man, that's still a nice snowstorm for your winter weather fan in Chicago, but definitely keeps heavier snow up into Iowa as opposed to widespread heavy snow into Missouri, but still hits Kansas City with a pretty decent winter storm. And then this is kind of the ice. But let's go on and just break down these individual graphics. This was issued a few hours ago in Boulder. 3 to 4 inches of snow in Denver, Castle Rock 4. Not a huge winter storm, but the further east you get into the plains of Colorado, Cope, Burlington, Ray, Cheyenne Wells, Lamar, you guys start to get into that 4 to 6 range. Definitely a more significant snow event out east in Colorado for sure. So we start to move into northern areas of Texas and then the panhandle of Oklahoma, inch or less, Guyman about an inch. Woodard, about an inch. Not expecting a whole lot in this area. And then ice could get a couple 100ths of an inch of ice, but I wouldn't expect a big storm out of this, especially since it's trended a little bit warmer. Now, I don't know what's going on with Oklahoma, but the National Weather Service out of Oklahoma does not have really great graphics pulled up. But the northern counties of Oklahoma going for about a slushy inch and a half. So if you do live in those furthermost north counties in Oklahoma, could get a slushy inch, but I really would watch out for some freezing rain in these areas. And this could trend north. But in that dark pink, that's about a 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. Even a little bit of freezing rain down to the Ozarks. So we'll see. But Oklahoma, it's not Oklahoma, Mitch. It's Kansas. I'm just getting my states all mixed up. Just way too much information flowing to the head. But this is Kansas. So it looks like to me that the southern counties have dropped off their forecast snow totals a little bit. Wichita 4 to 6, Harper 2 to 3. I would say Dodge City's probably around the 2 to 4 range. Coffeeville 1 to 2, Lawrence though 6 to 8, Atchison 6 to 8, Concordia I think is how you pronounce it 8 to 12, Salina 6 to 8, Norton 6 to 8. So if you start to get into that orange color, I mean that's a good 8 to 12 inch snowstorm is forecast. And we are going to get a little bit of ice. Let's see if we got this pulled up. It's actually increased a little bit for southeastern areas of Kansas. Coffeeville could go for about a 1/10 of an inch of ice now. And then we head on up here to, not Kansas, Nebraska. And along that Interstate 80 corridor, it's beginning to increase. Now going for Kearney 4 to 6, Grand Island 4 to 6, Lincoln 4 to 6, Omaha 3 to 4. I could see this increasing even more. In fact, the southern counties of Nebraska, some of these areas now calling for 6 to 8 inches of snow. That's been kind of the trend. Is this might be a little bit further north than originally forecast. Sterling 3 to 4, Scotts Bluff even 1 to 2 over here. This is kind of the first system. But definitely, if you live along that Interstate 80 corridor, this could trend into a bigger snowstorm fast. So just be aware of that. No ice expected up here. Missouri, expect a changing forecast. Kansas City going for around 5 to 9 inches of snow right at this second. Columbia 4 to 7. St. Louis 2 inches or less. I like that forecast. I think that's good. Springfield 2 inches or less. There's a little bit of disconnect right here between two National Weather Service offices, but I think northern Missouri is good for at least 4 to 8 inches of snow, depending on where you live and where this is going to set up. Topeka, I didn't mention that when I mentioned Kansas, 5 to 10 inches of snow. Manhattan, 6 to 11. So we will get some ice in this area. Let's pull that up. I think a little bit more ice than this could add up. We'll see what happens, but a couple 100ths of an inch of ice is forecast. Iowa, just like Nebraska, this is a state where things could escalate quickly. This was updated around 4:15 Central Time, but now 3 to 6 in Des Moines. Creston, this is between two different events, I would say also. I just want to add that. But you get down to Burlington, could get closer to that 6-inch mark. Davenport, 2 to 5. Dubuque has increased to 2 to 5 inches of snow, so things might be increasing for Iowa because of that little northerly trend. Sioux City, Sioux Falls, 3 to 5, 3 to 6 inches of snow. And then we start to get into Illinois. So this is when things, we start to get to an area that has not really seen a significant winter storm in a while. Lincoln, 4 to 6, Bloomington, 4 to 7, Springfield, 3 to 6. Champaign 2 to 5, Danville 1 to 4, drops off pretty quick. 1 to 3 in Litchfield, Pittsfield 4 to 8, Quincy 5 to 9, Peoria 5 to 8. Starting to get into that yellow area, you could get over 6 inches of snow, and there could be some freezing rain in this area for sure. I know it's kind of a weird scrawny graphic, but you get in that darker area of orange, if you will, or this orange, that's over 1/10 of an inch of ice is forecast. Effingham could get a couple 100ths of an inch. So definitely some icing in the southern areas of Illinois. Now, they don't have a great updated graphic in Chicago, so I kind of have to pull up this and kind of work our way through it. But Chicago's right in here. For now, between now and just Wednesday evening, still could be snowing. Still likely will be snowing at least a little bit. Going for around 5 inches of snow between now and Wednesday evening in Chicago. Decent event at least. But I'm telling you, things could uptrend in this area. But in general, this area between just now and Wednesday evening, I just want to keep reiterating that. 4 to 6 inches of snow. Milwaukee, it's an area where things could uptrend. I know I don't really have a graphic for Wisconsin pulled up, but trust me, that'll change. You know what? I will show Wisconsin on the fly here because I do got a lot of viewers from that area. I love you guys. Let's see. Wisconsin, between now and Wednesday evening. Yeah, Milwaukee going for close to 5 inches of snow now. Janesville, 3-4 inches of snow. But you can see there's a sharp cutoff of this. So, my fine friends here in Lower Michigan already have a graphic up, which I think is really cool. Kalamazoo, 6 to 8. Lansing, 6 to 8. Detroit, 4 to 6 right now. But I'm telling you, the southern areas of Lower Michigan could change. Just keep that in mind. And Detroit, don't keep 4 to 6 in your head. Not to, I think I got a loyal viewer out of Detroit. I think it's Steven, another Steven. Things could change. Not being a Debbie Downer, but I could see, unfortunately, some icing getting involved. Let's hope not. For right now, they don't have an ice graphic pulled up, but we'll see what happens. Northern Indiana. And this does include areas of Ohio, but they're going for a good 3 to as much as 8 inch snowfall in the northern counties of Indiana. South Bend 4 to 8. Indianapolis much less, so I don't even have that up. Fort Wayne 2 to 5. Defiance 2 to 4. In Ohio, definitely northeast, northwest areas of Ohio could certainly get some accumulating snow from this, but you're getting really close to some ice in this area. And here it is, already going for a few 100ths of an inch of ice, over a tenth of an inch of ice further south down Interstate 75 and 69. So, and just to quickly break down the Northeast with this snow, with this winter weather event, because there could be another one after all this. We're just trying to focus on these first two. And as we're starting off Wednesday afternoon, remember there's kind of a connection between the first and second system. Here comes the second system, a lot of ice. Cranking up once again in those favorite ice areas, cold air damming areas of Western Virginia, Eastern West Virginia. We got freezing rain breaking out across the Allegheny Mountains, areas of northern Maryland, kind of north of the D.C. Baltimore area. Does show some snow trying to, and let's look at the latest 06Z. Does show some snow trying to break out across New York City and Long Island temporarily. And I do think y'all eventually will go to a wintry mix, eventually to rain. But, we're starting to get to the wee hours of the morning Thursday. This is bringing some quick hitting snow for Boston. But then even you guys will probably switch to rain. And a lot of areas across the interior New England region will probably just go to all freezing rain. In some areas like in PA, even Buffalo, like Western New York, the southern tier of New York will probably switch to all rain. Probably will stay all winter weather up here in Maine, areas of Vermont and New Hampshire, but it will not be pretty snow. It's a pretty strong system flying to the north, but when you got a low pressure kind of cutting to the north like that, it's going to bring a ton of a ton of warm air. This is certainly going to bring a big winter storm for our friends here in Quebec and Ontario. And then that flies on through, and we'll just have to watch for that next winter storm behind it. But that looks pretty warm too. So, just comparing some model guides. This is the blend of all models. This is the first system. And then here comes the second system. You notice first system hits you guys with some heavy snow to the south. Second system hits you guys to the north. A little bit of snow possible in between at the front edge of this. But, at the end of the day, I just think it's going to bring a lot of warm air with it. And we are going to have some icing issues, Allegheny Mountains down. And this is combining both systems. So, obviously, this is the first system too. But this is just a signal that we're going to get a little bit of freezing rain, and we're going to get sleet with this too. I just think this is just going to be a nasty mixed storm up here. So, I will tell you guys, and, I want to bring this up really quick. Let's go down to the southeast. Just want to kind of throw a bone to this too. There's going to be a lot of rain. This is rainfall just between now and Thursday morning, guys. A lot of rain this week. Some areas to the south and east might get lucky, if you consider yourself lucky, because some people will say, that we need the rain, and I would agree. And I was thinking about it earlier this week. We really haven't gotten a ton of rain in my neck of the woods in central South Carolina. But, definitely going to see this corridor of very heavy rain from eastern Texas through the mid-south, areas of the northern deep south, and then some of this will be winter weather up here in the mid-Atlantic for sure. But yeah. As far as today's weather, there is a risk of some thunderstorms down here in Texas and areas of Oklahoma. I wouldn't worry about it. The risk of excessive rainfall, not really there today. That quickly changes as we get into tomorrow and the rest of the week. I don't have a radar pulled up for whatever reason. I do apologize about that. But as far as the weather today in the southeast, we're just going to get showers. It's going to be cloudy even where it isn't raining. For a lot of areas, it's like the Carolinas. It's a dramatic flip from yesterday compared to today as far as temperatures. What's wild is I start soccer. People who've been tuning in for a while on my channel, I do soccer. It's my 5th season. I coach 7 and 9 year olds. But it's been such nice weather. But tomorrow's our first practice, and it's supposed to be highs in the 40s. So it's going to throw everybody for a loop. It's going to be a cold first practice for sure. But rainfall begins to blossom across areas of Arkansas and then across the southeast. And then it's kind of the beginning stages of our system. The HRRR model is very aggressive with some front-end snow at this, especially for the northern counties in North Carolina tomorrow morning. I don't know about that, but we're definitely going to get some showers across the southeast tomorrow. Today's weather, though, I wouldn't expect much. Across the northeast today, some lake effect snow band. In fact, we got some lake effect snow warnings up here off Ontario. This will add up accumulating snow in this region. But the rest of the northeast is pretty quiet, and then we just got to watch this system to the south. And then the south central U.S., just that moisture returning, building up, trying to tap into that cold air. Washout develops in areas of Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma overnight. We're waking up tomorrow morning. We're probably going to have a little bit of winter weather flying around up here in southeastern areas of Missouri, southern Illinois and Kentucky, which we've talked about already. But waking up to a lot of rain across areas of eastern Texas, Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, and then northwest Louisiana. Kind of round one of many rounds of rain that's going to crank up all week. And then up here in the north central U.S., we're going to have some light to moderate snow that does develop. It's cold enough for everything to accumulate. So this is this afternoon, Sioux Falls, Sioux City region, northern Iowa, southern areas of Illinois. Some light snow will develop. This will try to sneak all the way up to the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. We'll see if that happens. But we'll get a few inches of snow off this in northern Iowa this evening. Man, this is a pretty epic snow band up here in Lake Superior, but it's very zonal. But it could start to switch back to to northwest to southeast as we're waking up tomorrow morning, adding up to some snow. Lisa has told me a few times that it is just an onslaught up there. You guys are just getting crushed with just cold and winter weather. So it's definitely, I think I'm so behind on comments. I've not answered them since Thursday, I don't think. But I've been just trying to read them and nitpick through them a little bit. But I will get caught up with all those comments later today. But the western U.S., very quiet weather. It's definitely settled down out here. And a lot of our systems are getting juiced up in the central U.S. and then working east rather than working across the Pacific. But this is temperatures. It'll stay warm for a good chunk of Georgia. There'll be cold air damming through the Carolinas. Florida will be kind of the breadwinner as far as the warmer temperatures along the Gulf Coast line. Will stay in the 60s and 70s, 80s in Florida. The Northeast locked in below freezing. Mid-Atlantic cool, but not that cold. And then the middle of the country pretty chilly. And then the northern terrain of the country very cold, bitterly cold up in Montana, the Dakotas. And it's pretty nice down here in the Southwest. So that's all I got. Now I want to switch it back to here, just kind of zoom out and just kind of want to do a quick devotion with you guys. Get the week started off right. Am I right? So let's see if I can find it really quick. Seems like I would have been better prepared. All right, actually I had to pause the video really quick and kind of collect myself there. But we're in 1 Corinthians. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. It says, "No temptation has come upon you except what is common to humanity. But God is faithful. He will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way out so that you may be able to bear it." So I think that's a fantastic verse, and it seems like, I think we all go through some things, whether it's, something that's not that serious or it's something that is terrible, like losing a loved one, and it feels like you just aren't going to make it through. Some people go through awful stuff like losing a child, losing a father, a mother. I obviously have not went through either one of those yet. I'm still blessed to have my parents, but you kind of get where I'm going with this. You go through things in life, addictions that you just seems like there's no way out, and Satan will come in and he'll try to convince you of that through certain ways, and God's always going to provide a way for you to get out. But I think in a way it's not designed to be easy to get out of that. I think it requires a lot of work, a lot of faith to get out of those situations. And that's when you got to lean on him. And, it's hard for me to sit here and, voice my opinion on that just because I've never went through something horrific, and I always try to, and it puts a chill down my spine when I think of something like, what if I lost one of my little girls? It would be crushing. It would be the ultimate tester, and I pray to God that obviously I never have to go through something so terrible, but people do every single day, and it's definitely hard to pull out of something like that. But you lean on him, and at the end of the day, the verse reigns true, right? He says that, he's basically not going to put you through anything that you cannot handle, even when it feels like you can't. So I think a good example of that, a very small example of that, is every day, you're tempted to think things you shouldn't think, maybe gossip at work, heck, maybe, I work customer service and I get irritated with customers sometimes, and I just want to lose patience and be like, dude, what is up with this guy? But at the same time, I'll always, before I let that thought get out loud, or before I can even let that thought marinate in my head, it seems like God always whispers to me. He's like, dude, relax. Don't act like that. You're being tempted to act a certain way. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and y'all have a wonderful start to your week.